Hello students, this is your social teacher Tirupati Nayak Malak. We are in the 19th lesson, that is post-war world and India. Post-war world and India. In our previous session we have discussed in related to Middle East problem or West Asia problem. In it we have clearly discussed the problems between Palestine and Israel, or the conflict between the Arabs and Jews we have discussed. In this session, let us discuss growth of nationalism in the Middle East. Growth of nationalism. Growth of nationalism in the Middle East. Yeah, what is Middle East? In our previous session also we discussed that Middle East means West Asia. Middle East means West Asia. In the Zionist movement we also discussed that US, it gave huge support to the Israel. Then US became against of the Palestinians, isn't it? I repeat, US supported to the Israel. Then Palestinians were against of the US because US supported the Jews. US didn't support to the Palestinians, that means Arab. Hence, US became a rival to the Arabs. I repeat, US became rival to the Arab countries. Okay. Next, one more incident also created tension among the countries, that was oil resources. That was oil resources. Yeah, oil resources found in the Middle East. Whenever this discovery of this oil resources was completely spread in Gulf or Arab Peninsula, US and USSR wanted to grab these oil resources. So due to the circumstances, tension arose among the countries, especially Middle East, and US influences certain countries, USSR also influences certain countries. Due to these oil resources, there was a huge demand. There was a huge demand on the government that for welfare for the people, welfare of the people, because these countries are gave oil wells to the private companies. Private companies are taking oil, and that was not benefit to the country. The country people were not benefited. Then country people were demanding for the welfare of the country or demanding for the welfare of the people. I repeat, whenever oil resources were discovered, America, Russia, USSR, both they wanted to involve in this activity. At the same time, wherever the Arab Peninsula, this peninsula, much of the oil resources were allotted to the private companies. These private companies were taking huge oil, but that was not benefited to the people. Whenever the benefits were not reaching to the people they demanded. They demanded for the welfare. Demands for welfare. Yeah, demands for welfare. You see, once you recall, in our ninth topic, we have done that Libya issue. Libya was under the control of Gaddafi, isn't it? So Gaddafi introduced several good steps, and literacy rate, life expectancy increased, because whatever the wealth they gained from the oil resources, that was developed the Libya under the control of Gaddafi. But soon after, people they became against of the Gaddafi. Why they became against of the Gaddafi? Because he became dictator, or he didn't give an opportunity for the democratical government. With the Revolutionary Command Council, RCC, with the help of the Revolutionary Command Council, he started to rule the country. So this was not digested the people of Libya. Hence there was a revolution was started. Okay, these oil resources also. Due to these oil resources, lot of development took place. But at the same time, development is there, but they don't have a basic freedom, basic fundamental rights. These they don't have. Hence, these people were fought against of the dictatorial government. Let us see about the Iraq issue. Iraq. You know that Iraq in 1968, Saddam Hussein 1968, Saddam Hussein belongs to Arab Baath Party. Belong to Arab Baath Party. So very important. It was party name was not mentioned in our textbook, but it is mentioned in the 9th class NCERT textbook. It was mentioned about Saddam Hussein party. So Saddam Hussein 1968. Saddam Hussein he belongs to Arab Baath Party. He came with the slogan, that is twin slogan. That one is Arab nationalism and socialism. Slogan. What was his slogan? Arab nationalism. Arab nationalism and socialism. These both are slogans of Saddam Hussein. He wanted to develop the nation. He wanted to take welfare measures to the people with the help of these oil resources. He gave the slogan that Arab nationalism and socialism I will implement. Whenever he came to power in 1968, he was implemented fantastic welfare measures in Iraq. No one of the countries that time they didn't do that kind of the measures he was taken in Iraq. Example, Parda system was abolished. Very good education, free and compulsory education was provided. Freedom rights were granted to the people, especially women also given these freedom rights. These are the new techniques, these are the new welfares, these are the new rights was granted by Saddam Hussein. And moreover, socialism. Under the name of the socialism, all the oil resources, all the important oil wells were nationalized by the Saddam Hussein. Complete everything came under the control of government. And nationalism, under the name of nationalism, he brought all the Iraqis. He was united most of all of the Iraqis. Then it was a fantastic government which was led by Saddam Hussein. But later days, Saddam Hussein also became dictator. Initially, he was initiated good welfare activities, good reforms he took in Iraq. But he became against of the people. America was intervened in this Iraq problem because he behaved against of the democracy what US claimed. US claimed that Saddam Hussein is not following. Okay, he is against of the democracy. Hence, we have to remove the Saddam Hussein. They started attack on Iraq. Finally, Saddam Hussein was caught by the US forces. Saddam Hussein was hanged by the American court. American court was hanged to Saddam Hussein. This is the Saddam Hussein story. And Libya story we discussed that dictatorial government, that means autocratic governments. Saddam Hussein initially the good measures, good initiative took, but later he became also autocratic, he became also dictator. Same, these people were completely collapsed. Libya, Gaddafi also did the same thing. They did not allow any opposition parties. They did not allow any opposition party, even Libya, Gaddafi. These people they did not allow opposition or democracy. So this was led for the revolution among the people. They doesn't want this ruler. They doesn't want this kind of the rulers. So this is the reason for the growth of nationalism in the Iraq and in Libya. Growth of the nationalism in Iraq and Libya. Now in Iraq, democratic government was set up nowadays. Okay. Next, let us see now Iraq issue, Iran issue. Just now we discussed two countries issue. One is Iraq and one more is Libya. Let us see Iran problem. Iran. What was happened? Iran, Iraq both are neighboring countries. Iran, Iraq both are having disputes. Both countries are having dispute over their territories, border issues. Like India, Pakistan we have border issues. Like Iran, Iraq both are having also border issues. In Iran, a revolution was took place. A revolution against king. A revolution took place against the king. King name was not mentioned in our textbook, but I collected from the other sources. Muhammad Reza. Yeah, his name is Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, supported by US. He was supported by US. I repeat, a revolution started against the king Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He was supported by the US. US was supported, lot of support. US gave lot of support to him because US wants certain resources like oil resources. This was held in 1979. This revolution was held in 1979. This revolution also called as Islamic Revolution. This revolution also called as Islamic Revolution. They doesn't want this Raja Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. These people they doesn't want. They want to remove him and they wanted to form a new government which is belongs to protect certain majority of the groups, that is especially Shia Islamics. Those who are the Shia sect will be there. There is a two sects will be there. One is Shia, okay, Shia and Sunni. In Iran, majority people were Shias. Okay, majority people were Shias. Then these Shias Islamic people, they wanted to set up Shia Islamic Democratic Government. Shia Islamic Democratic Government, that to be elected government. Okay, so Shia Islamic Revolution is also called as Shia Islamics established democratically elected government. Yeah. So what did we understand? Iraq Revolution also called as Islamic Revolution. One revolution was took place in 1979. That is against of the Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He was supported by the US. The people that doesn't want him, they want elected government. So they wanted to remove this king and they wanted to set up democratically elected government with the help of the Shia Islamics. With the help of the Shia Islamic, this incident took place. It is Iran issues. And before starting of this topic also, before the starting of Iraq, I also said that Iran-Iraq having border issues also. Next. Let us see again Afghanistan problem. What was the Afghanistan problem? Afghanistan. What was happened to Afghanistan? You know that Afghanistan, both US, USSR, both they wanted to enter, both they wanted to set up their ideology in the Afghanistan, but US was supported to the Taliban. You remember? US supported to the Taliban and USSR withdrawn from the Afghanistan in 1985. Later, Taliban they turned against of the US. I repeat, Taliban they turned against of the US. Once upon a time, America they gave their support to the Taliban against of the USSR. I repeat this word. Once upon a time, whenever US wanted to influence Afghanistan, America supported to the Taliban to fight against the USSR, isn't it? But after withdrawal of the USSR withdrawn from Afghanistan in 1985, that we already discussed in the previous session. Here, the Taliban they became established extreme Islamic states. Extreme means high, apex, orthodox, extreme Islamic state. These Taliban they established extreme Islamic state. Anything, everything extreme is not good. So this extreme Islamic state completely it turns against of the people. So whenever these Taliban they established the extreme Islam in Afghanistan, they denied the basic freedom equality. Denied freedom to the people. They didn't give freedom. They denied freedom. They denied equality. Who denied? These Taliban. Talibans were denied. And They denied for the opportunity, no equal opportunity. They denied freedom, equality, denied for opportunities, denied for the opportunities. Moreover, they are forcing to the people to follow strictly the Islamic religion. These Talibans are forcing the all members to follow strictly the rules and regulations, the culture of the Talibans, especially the women's minorities were suffered a lot due to these Talibans. Okay, whenever Talibans were set up the extreme Islamic state, they denied, they didn't give freedom, equality, equal opportunities were not given to the women and other religious minorities. Those who are other religion people were there, for them also they are imposing the Taliban culture on them. So this is growth among the discontent of the people. This was grown discontent among the people. There was a war, civil war was started between the Talibans and other minorities. Many of the people were died in this incident. Okay, this is Taliban. Still the Taliban is very active in Afghanistan. Let us see US. How US affected? How US affected? Yeah, very very important. How US affected? You know that in Palestine issue, Palestinians, they were against of the US, isn't it? I repeat, Palestinians were against of the US because US supported to the Jews. Second, in Afghanistan, US interfered in the problem of the Taliban. Or US interfered in the problem of the Afghanistan. US, they wanted to restore the democracy in the Afghanistan. Hence, US entered in the Afghanistan. US entered in the Afghanistan. They were attacking on the Taliban. US, they were attacking on the Taliban. Why? Sir, why US attacking on the Taliban? Because these Taliban were extreme Islamic members. These people are not giving freedom. These people are not giving equality. These people are not giving equal opportunities to the women. These people are not giving religious freedom to the minorities. Hence, America started to attack on the Taliban and they wanted to establish a democratic government in the Afghanistan. 15 years, mostly 15 to 17 years, American soldiers were stayed in Afghanistan. There was a fight between Taliban and US and Taliban both are fought in the Afghanistan issue. So this was led for the discontent among the Taliban. Taliban wanted to take revenge against the US because everywhere US is interfering. Moreover, the Taliban also believing that Islam, they wanted to spread the Islam, they wanted to enforce the Islam to the world. So this was resulted to the growth of terrorism. This was resulted for the violence. That is, we call that religious terrorism. Religious terrorism was developed among the Arabs, especially in the Taliban. So what was happened? You know that 11 September 2001, very dangerous incident was took place in America. Yeah, there was twin towers were there. Twin towers. These twin towers are WTO twin towers. Two towers. These two tower buildings it was crashed with the help of aeroplanes. Talibans from Afghanistan, they hijacked the planes. They hijacked two aircrafts in the US and they crashed them to WTO. They crashed them into WTO at New York. Many people were died. It was one of the dangerous incident took place in the 21st century. America wanted to take revenge on it. Because of this incident, these two buildings were collapsed. Moreover, they hijacked the planes, aircrafts, and many of the people were died. Then America strictly interfered in the problem of Afghanistan. This is we call as 11 September incident of America. Two planes were hijacked. That planes, after the hijacking, they crashed them into WTO or World Trade Organization office in the New York. Many people were died. So war started against the Taliban in America. Okay, still it is going on. indirect war is going on, but American troops were withdrawn from Afghanistan. This is a major incident in Afghanistan between Taliban and America. And Taliban's leader was at the time Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was killed by American forces. American NATO forces, they searched who was the responsible for this incident. He was caught to America and finally he was killed. Okay, next. Let us see now peace movements. Peace movements. What are the peace movements? Why peace movement was started? Yeah, peace movements. As you know that many members were died in the bilateral war. USSR influence and US spending much of the money on the arms. At the same time, USSR also developing their weapons and arsenals, everything. So usually we can say that there was an arm race. There was an arms race between USA and USSR. There was a race. There was a race in the space. There was a race in the science and technology. There was a race in the weapons between the USA and USSR. So this was created tension among the people. Those people, they want peace. That was, they are afraid about the circumstances which were going on between the USA and USSR. So there was a huge public pressure all over the world. From all over the world, there was a huge public pressure against of the USA, USSR, against of their nuclear stations, against of their nuclear power, against of their arms, dangerous weapons. These countries, these people, they're demanding that. These people, organization, many of the organization demanding that you have to disband, you have to reduce your nuclear weapons. Okay, I repeat, whenever these both countries are increasing their weapons, making their weapons, focusing on their arsenals, this was led tension among the world. There was huge pressure from the UNO, there was a huge pressure from the organizations, other organizations, there was a huge pressure from the public also to reduce their nuclear weapons. So there was a mutual talks began. Mutual talks, yeah. Whenever there was a lot of pressure was started, there was mutual talks began to reduce nuclear weapons. Next, the stockpiles of weapons, and eventually led for the discussion of CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. CTBT, Test Ban. Next, in USSR. Reforms in USSR. Let us see reforms in USSR. What are the reforms? What was happened? Yeah. First, Mikhail Gorbachev. It also can be written as or Mikhail Gorbachev. You can write Mikhail or Mikhail. You can write Mikhail. Mikhail Gorbachev, he came to power in USSR. He tried to transform the politics of USSR. Tried to transform the politics of USSR. What really he did? What Mikhail Gorbachev was done? Actually, Mikhail Gorbachev was a liberal. He was a liberal. Liberal means, you know, that who could think for the freedom, equality, certain reforms. Okay, he was a liberal. Introduced several reforms. several reforms. So what kind of these reforms? What are these reforms? Especially example economy and revival of economy and mutual talks with the Western countries. He was started whenever he came to power. He wanted to recover the economy, that is revival of economy, and promoted healthy relations with the West countries. Before Gorbachev, they do not have good relations with the West countries. Nowadays, whenever Mikhail Gorbachev was came into power, he wanted to discuss the issues related to West countries. Several reforms like first one, revival of economy, revival of USSR economy, and promoted to healthy relations with the West countries, especially those countries are against of the USSR. He wanted to discuss. Promoted healthy relationship with the West. So these reforms were called as, glasnost and perestroika in the Russian language. Yeah. These reforms were called as glasnost and perestroika. You have to observe one thing. Before Mikhail Gorbachev, those presidents were there in USSR. They did not try for the economical revival, especially they did not promote it for the healthy relationship with the other countries, because these all countries were against of the USSR. Do you remember? Yeah. Mostly West countries. Those who are West countries are there. These all countries are capitalistic countries. USSR is communist countries. But Mikhail Gorbachev wanted to make little bit friendly relationship with the other countries. These reforms are called as glasnost reform. Sir, what does mean the glasnost? Glasnost means actually openness. Yeah, he was very openly he is ready to discuss with those countries of West. And what is perestroika? Perestroika means reconstruction. Yeah. So these are the reforms. Reforms in USSR introduced by Mikhail Gorbachev. He tried to transform the politics of USSR. He was a liberal. He introduced several reforms like revival of economy. He tried to revive the economy, develop the economy, promoted healthy relations with the West. So these reforms are called as glasnost reform. These are also called as openness. These also perestroika means reconstruction. These are the initiative taken by Mikhail Gorbachev. Yet as Mikhail Gorbachev reforms were successful or unsuccessful, let us see. During at the same time, those countries are from the USSR bloc. USSR means so many countries were there in the USSR side. Okay, so many countries depends upon the USSR. At the same time, there were countries of Eastern Europe. Those who are in USSR, those who are in USSR, they were in the USSR group. These countries were in the crisis. These countries' economic status were very bad. At the same time, USSR unable to help them because USSR position is not good. Hence, USSR did not help those allied countries. Those countries are made friendship with the USSR. USSR unable to help them. So that is also one of the reason. For that, most of the countries they wanted to come out from this USSR group. Most of the countries they wanted to come out from this USSR group because they are demanding freedom, they are demanding democracy, they are demanding economic reforms. Those countries are there. Example, you take East Germany, Poland, Hungary, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Georgia, many countries where they wanted to come out from the USSR because these countries they believed that if we were supported to the Russia, we were in the USSR group, we all members together, maybe Russia can help us. But Russia condition was very bad. Russia was unable to help them. That is, Russia was unable to help their friends. Hence, these countries were demands. Yeah, for what purpose they are demanding? Yeah, demand. They are demanding for the democracy. Demands for democracy, demanding for freedom, okay, demanding for economic reforms, okay, and demanding for certain territories. We wanted to leave, we wanted to form a independent government. We doesn't want to involve with you. So that each and every country, they wanted to come out from this USSR. This led disbanding of the USSR. This led collapse of USSR. You know that USSR was started in 1922 under Lenin. Now USSR 1991, USSR with a group of many countries, USSR was formed. Now USSR is dismantled. Now ready to disband, because many of the countries which were in the USSR group, they wanted to come out because Russia is unable to help them. At the same time, they are demanding democracy, they are demanding freedom, they are demanding economic reforms. Okay? So these are the reasons for the disbanding of the USSR. When, under whose period this USSR was disbanded? Let us see. Yeah, just we discussed that Mikhail Gorbachev. After Mikhail Gorbachev, new president came. He is this Boris Yeltsin. Yeah. After Mikhail Gorbachev, Boris Yeltsin came. Whenever Boris Yeltsin came as a president, he was completely disbanded the USSR in 1991. USSR disbanded. Disbanded or also called as disunited. Disbanded or disunited, because the governments were unable to manage the country, so that this government was failed. USSR also failed to control them. Then they were separated from the USSR. Many countries were separated from the USSR in 1991. At the time, Boris Yeltsin was the president of Russia. Okay, 1991, Mikhail Gorbachev was removed. Boris Yeltsin was came. During the Boris Yeltsin, these incidents took place. Due to this, once upon a time we call this is Germany. This is what? Germany. This is Germany. This is Germany. This is called as West side, West Germany. West side, West Germany. East side, East Germany. East side, East Germany. Germany became part of USSR in 1961. In 1961, East Germany. In 1961, East Germany came under the influence of USSR. And West Germany came to the group of USA. West Germany under the control of USA, East Germany under the control of USSR. Yeah, here Russia will be there, Poland, East Germany. In West Germany, FRG, Federal Republic of Germany. It is called as Federal Republic of Germany. This is called as GDR. It also we discussed in our 12th lesson. GDR, German Democratic Republic. German Democratic Republic came under USSR group. Federal Republic of Germany came under USA. Yeah, this led to partition of the Germany. The Germany was divided into two parts. This side is East Germany, that side is West Germany. Wall was constructed. This wall is called as Berlin Wall. This is called as Berlin Wall. Berlin. Germany capital city is Berlin. In Berlin, one wall was constructed. This wall was in the Berlin also divided into two. Another side FRG and the opposite side GDR. This also disbanded in 1991. This German wall was removed. Okay, German wall was destroyed by both the people of the East Germany and West Germany. Both the people from the East Germany, West Germany were destroyed the wall. Finally, Germany reunited. German was reunited. That means, what did we understand? USSR collapsed. Yeah, USSR was collapsed. You have to understand that USSR was collapsed completely. When it was collapsed? It was collapsed in 1991. It was collapsed. When it was formed? It was formed in 1922. It was formed in 1922 when Lenin was there. When Lenin was formed, and during the time of Boris Yeltsin, it was gone. Mikhail Gorbachev was defeated in the elections. In these elections, Boris Yeltsin was won, and during at the time, the disbanding of the country started completely. USSR collapsed in the 1991. After the collapse, many countries they became independent. Many countries they set up their own government. Germany they set up their own government. Hungary they set up their own government. Poland people they formed their own government. So many countries became independent after the collapse of USSR. I am writing here. After the collapse of USSR. After the collapse of USSR, finally many countries came out, that we discussed it, and they were completely set up their democratic governments. After the collapse of USSR, independent countries emerged. Yeah, many of the countries independent countries were emerged. Finally, after this collapsation of the USSR, two things were happened. One is unipolar world. Second one is era of politics or era of globalizing politics. Globalization. They may ask to you in the one or two more question. What was happened after the disbanding of the USSR? First one is, after the collapse of USSR, independent countries emerged. Many countries they became independent. Unipolar world. Before that, bipolar world is there. Two. USSR one group, USA one group. Bipolar. Unipolar means each and every country they are thinking about themselves, for their country self, but not for to aggression, attack, annexation, invasion. They are not thinking about that. Each and every country they are thinking unipolarly about their territory, about their security, about their country purpose. These are thinking that each and every country individually thinking about their own development. That is called as unipolar. Unipolar world started, then era of globalization. Two, they want economically revive, they want economically develop, they have to be follow the approach of globalization. Started. So these are the peace movements and disbanding of USSR. USSR was disbanded or collapsed in the year of 1991. German wall was destructed by both the people in 1991. It was constructed in 1961. Okay, Berlin is the capital city of Germany. That also they may ask in the map pointing examination. Next, let us discuss NAM. N-A-M. NAM means, you know that, non-alignment movement. You know that India was founder of the NAM, isn't it? India was the founder of NAM. NAM means non-alignment movement. NAM means non-alignment movement or non-alignment policy. On what based India tried to form this non-alignment? India tried to build our own foreign policy based on the Gandhi principles. India tried to form foreign policy based on Gandhi principles. They may also ask us to write Gandhi principles. What are the Gandhi principles? Or which among the following is not a Gandhi principle? What are the Gandhi principles? Gandhi principles are, first one peace and non-violence. Peace and non-violence, these two are the Gandhi principles. Based on these principles, Okay, this led formation of norm. This led formation of norm, and this led to Panchashil agreements. Led to Panchashil agreements. So what is Panchashil agreement? Panchashil, it is a Sanskrit word. Panchashil means 5 principles. 5 principles. Pancha, 5 principles. Panchashil agreement. So what is this Panchashil agreement? For what purpose this Panchashil agreement was made? Panchashil agreement was made between India and China. Between, at the time, India Prime Minister was Jawaharlal Nehru. China Prime Minister was Chow En-lai. Yeah, our Prime Minister is Jawaharlal Nehru. China Prime Minister is Chow En-lai. This Panchashil Pact was made on 1954, April 29. This date also not mentioned, but it is a correct date. You can study. 1954, April 29. Between India and China, between Jawaharlal Nehru and Chow En-lai, we made one agreement. That agreement consists 5 principles, 5 objectives. So that's what we are calling this agreement as 5 principles or Panchashil agreement. It's very, very important in the examination point of view. What are these Panchashil agreement principles? Let us see once. First, number one. 5 principles I said. Number 1 is respect each other's sovereignty. I repeat, respect each other's sovereignty. Respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Territorial integrity. First point I want to explain. Respect each other's sovereignty. Sovereignty means decision making power. Both the countries have to be respect our decision making power. China will respect our decision making power. China will respect our territorial integrity, because they will not interfere in our territorial matters. Territorial means geographical matter. Example, this is India. The conflict China is there. China does not involve in our territorial integrity. Each and everybody, you have to save your territory border, we will save our border. Okay? So no conflicts, no problems, no wars. We will respect you and you have to respect us. We will not interfere in your territory and you should not interfere in our territory. Territory means boundary. Territory means land. Next one. Second one, that is respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Second one, non-interference in the internal affairs. Non-interference in the internal affairs. Non-interference in the internal affairs. If any problem is there in the China country, okay, we should not involve in their country. We should not, for example, any problem is going on in our country, China also do not interfere. So the non-interference in the internal affairs of the countries. Yeah, something problem was going on in India, China should not interfere in our problem. And at the same time, any problem was going on, that is China's internal problem. We should not. Okay, we should not interfere in the problem. Third one, non-aggression and settle the disputes. Non-aggression and settle the disputes. Settle the disputes through mutual understanding. Disputes with mutual understanding. Yeah. Third point explaining that non-aggression. We should not attack on you. Okay? We should not attack on you, and you should not attack on us. If any problem is there, we will settle the disputes with the mutual understanding. Let us sit together and we will discuss the problem. We will solve the problem. For example, you fight, we fight, both countries will suffer. That will be cost of lot of members may die. There are a lot of problem may occur. So this is the third one is very important. Non-aggression and settle the disputes with the mutual understanding. We will talk together. We will sit some area and we will look what is the problem, how we can solve the problem. Next step. Fourth one. Endeavor to achieve the cooperation. Endeavor to achieve the cooperation and mutual respect in international relationship, because we know that every country need to become a prosper country, developing nations. So developed nations, if any country wanted to become a developed nations, that country definitely that need to be depends upon any other country. Okay, so that endeavor to achieve cooperation and mutual respect in the internal relationship. Internal relationship we required because we wanted to do any exports and imports. If we wanted to do any exports and imports, definitely we need a good relationship. So that is fourth point says that endeavor to achieve cooperation and mutual respect in the relationship. Cooperation and mutual respect in the international relationship. To endeavor to achieve cooperation and mutual respect in the international relationship also very important. Next, fifth one, peaceful coexistence or promote peaceful coexistence. We all the people, you and me, both, we have to give example, we have to tell other countries for the existence of the peace or promoting peaceful coexistence. Yeah, you see that these 5 principles can express the India's ideology. These 5 principles express the India's attitude towards the peace, to stop the world wars or to stop the wars between the other countries. So children, this is our lesson. I hope you understand. In this lesson we have discussed that growth of nationalism we discussed, what was happening in Iraq, Iran, Libya, how Afghanistan, Taliban they became against of the US, how they were collapsed their WTO towers at New York. Then after we discussed the peace movements, okay, against of the nuclear weapons. Then we discussed that disbanding of the USSR, how USSR was disbanded. Next, in this session, just now we discussed that now, what is India's role in protecting of NAM, and India under the NAM, name of the NAM, India, they were maintained closely friendly relationship with our neighboring country like China. China Prime Minister Chow En-lai and India Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, both members, 1954, April 29, they met and they made 5 principles. These 5 principles were based on the Gandhi ideology. That you know that Gandhi ideology is peace and non-violence. Peace and non-violence. These five are the important principles from the Jawaharlal Nehru point of view, at the same time Chinese point of view. I hope you understand. Thank you.